The President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, says EU leaders have agreed to the UK's request to an extension to the time it has to leave the European Union. Britain was due to leave in 3 days' time, October the 31st, but UK MPs did force the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, to request another delay to give them more time to scrutinise his new deal. Now, the new deadline is to be 3 months. That's an extension, January the 31st. Later today, Mr Johnson is expected to ask MPs to vote on holding a snap election on December the 12th in return for more time to argue over the UK's divorce from the EU. Laurence Lee joins us live from London. Laurence, what's happened to do or die in a ditch then?
Well, in fairness, and we'll come to this, he could actually use it to his advantage, Boris Johnson. But yes, on one level, it's a humiliation. Downing Street's briefing journalists right now, so we'll find out soon enough what Boris Johnson thinks. But as you say, according to the law, now that the EU has granted this, they'll write it down and send it to Boris Johnson within 24 hours. According to the law, he has immediately to accept the extension. It's a flexible extension, could go on to the end of January. If he gets his version of Brexit through Parliament in the meantime, then the UK could leave earlier. The thing that seems to have swung it for the European Union, because they had said they wouldn't grant the extension unless they knew that something was going to happen to alter the balance, like an election, for example, which looks like the most likely thing. The thing that seems to have swung it is the promise or the suggestion by two of the opposition parties, the Scottish Nationalists and the Liberal Democrats, to help Boris Johnson change the law so that to get a vote in favour of an election, he doesn't have to get a two-thirds majority in Parliament, but only a simple majority instead. And that seems now to be the way it'll go. We don't know that Downing Street's going to accept that idea from the Liberal Democrats and the SNP, but it seems very likely now that there will be an election because the extension has to happen according to the law that's been passed in the Parliament here.
We're almost in November, so that means what, they've got 5.5 or 6 weeks to call an election, stage it, and then I guess in reality that election wouldn't be a general election. Will it actually be another referendum on Brexit or a referendum type vote on Mr Johnson versus Mr Corbyn vis-à-vis their policies to do with Brexit?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Certainly Downing Street will want to present Boris Johnson as the man who is trying to act on behalf of the people against a parliament which is dithering and dragging its heels and doesn't want Brexit. That sort of people versus parliament thing obviously is already their strategy, and in one sense it doesn't matter for Boris Johnson if he does or doesn't get his bill through. If he does get his Brexit through, he'll go to the people saying, I'm the man who got Brexit done. If he doesn't, he'll say, I'm the man who wants to do Brexit for you, and it's the Parliament getting in the way, so still vote for me. And so in that sense, Downing Street will see it as a win-win for him. But the question, as you very rightly say, is going to be a gauge of the public mood. Do they like his version of Brexit? And more profoundly still, do people actually, and now at this point, want Brexit to happen at all? And if is still perfectly possible, there's yet another hung Parliament, as we have at the moment, no majority, we all run off screaming into the night, don't we? Because it never ends.
We'll all lie down in a darkened room, I think. OK, Laurence, good to talk to you. Thanks very much.